Hello, folks, and welcome to another, I hope, exciting episode of Star Agent-87, and we're calling this Season 2, and I'll tell you all about it right after the intro. Hi, folks, and welcome to Sharp Mountain Games. Here we talk about group role-playing games, solo role-playing games, and there are plenty of actual plays in the playlist. You can check out our print and PDF products at Amazon, Lulu, Drivethrurpg, and Roll20, and they're all linked below. Let's get started, and we're glad you're here. Today is going to be the start of Season 2 of Star Agent-87, and I'm really excited because I'm going to get a chance to take out Cinematic Space for a test drive here. Now, I wrote Cinematic Space, and I was so excited to finally get it done. It was one of those projects that was in the process really for about 2 years. So it's now available on PDF at Drivethrurpg very reasonably. And also if you want a print copy, I think still pretty cheap on Amazon, and I'll have those links down below. However, you do not need to own Cinematic Space to play along today. Like Bob Ross would always say, if you want to paint along with us. Well, if you want to play along with us, I just think that's wonderful. Use whatever system you have. It doesn't even have to be a science fiction system. You can adapt it. But if you have a science fiction system, if you have a Star Trek game or a Star Wars game or some other science fiction game, absolutely you can go with it. If you want a free system, you can use Sharp Mountain Solo, which is pay what you want on Drivethrurpg. Certainly you can give me a buck or two if you want, or you can buy me a coffee, but my buy me a coffee link is down below. But you don't have to. Sharp Mountain Solo you can have for free. So let me just show you a little bit of a character card here for Cinematic Space, just so you can see how it works. So there's 8 broad skill groups. You might say, oh, I'm used to 6. Yeah, there's 8, but there's only 8. And they kind of cover everything, like communications and combat. And you can interpret them also a little more broadly, like Rick Ranger, he's a secret agent kind of guy, so he might be using communications to con somebody or to pretend to be somebody he's not. And then everybody gets 2 special abilities. Humans are lucky, and for example, with Rick, I gave him advantage for communications when he's trying to con somebody, because he kind of acts as a secret agent and underneath the scenes or behind the scenes. But you're going to see things are a little different here today. So we have Rick Ranger. Where's he at? There he is. He's our main character. Star Agent 87. We also have Tiana Angel Star. And we have Commander Frakes. Oh, with his handsome beard there. I'll just show him to you. Not based on any real person. And RMD is our other very major character. He's the robot medical doctor. And I try to talk a little more nasally when I talk like him. So let's get into things so that I'm not fooling around too much and we can get going here. So, and everything is a D20. It's D20 roll under. And if you roll, whatever you roll under, that's your damage. So, why am I calling this Season 2? Because there's going to be a change in format, a little bit. So Rick, Tiana, and RMD have been assigned to the Nighthawk, and this ship's going to represent the Nighthawk. I have another one I made, but I don't have it quite finished painted yet. Another ship that I think is going to become the more permanent Nighthawk. But this is going to do for now. And the reason for that is because the Nighthawk and her captain, here's Captain Bixby, the captain of the Nighthawk, they had undergone some combat, and they lost some of their personnel, so they're a little bit short-handed. And Rick and Tiana and RMD have worked with the crew of the Nighthawk on some missions. So the Planetary Alliance has decided that they're going to temporarily reassign them to the Nighthawk to help make up these crew positions and also kind of see how they work well together. Now, they will still have their smaller ship, the Alpha Dawn. That's going to, I know, not to scale, but we're going to pretend that that's big enough to be docked in a docking bay with on the Nighthawk there, or maybe kind of hooked underneath, kind of like the way the Millennium Falcon was at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. So that ship is going to be available if they need to do some smaller missions, or more covert things. So they've been assigned on this patrol in a fairly dangerous section of the galaxy, kind of near where the Graylian Empire is, and the Graylians are trying to expand, maybe even. And let's get started here. So Rick has come off duty, and he's been very busy. He's a very good pilot, so he's been filling in on the helm here on the Nighthawk. And it's also been important for him, I don't want to say not only to fill in, but to take these shifts so he could learn how to pilot and maneuver the bigger ship. So he's really maybe just a little bit tired. He's come off his shift, and he is going to heading kind of back. He thinks he's heading back towards his quarters. And he bumps into Tiana. And he says, oh, Tiana, it's so good to see you. Now, they've only been working together a short while, only a few adventures, and they're all in season 1. I think it's a total of 3 or 4 adventures. So they don't know each other real well. And Tiana is a Elvarin, so kind of a Vulcan or an Elven kind of character. And she says, oh, yes, Rick, we haven't. I've been so busy in the science department, and learning everything and learning how all the scanners and everything work here on this ship. We just haven't had that time. And Rick says, well, we need to catch up. That wouldn't that be nice? Maybe we could, and he seemed surprised at himself for asking this. Maybe we could sit down and we could have dinner tonight. And discuss how things are going. And Tiana says, oh, well, that would be very nice. She said, but I can't do that tonight. In fact, I'm heading down to the cafeteria right now, to the mess. I'm supposed to have dinner with Commander Frakes tonight. He had asked me. Eric's, well, okay. That's if that's what it is, and that's fine. We'll have to do it another time. Maybe on a coffee break or something. We could sit down and talk about things. And she said, well, yes, that'd be nice. We should catch up. She said, but I should go. I don't want to keep him waiting. So she goes off, and Rick is maybe less than happy about that. Thinking about her, across the table from Commander Frakes with his debonair eyes and that beard. So Rick changes his mind. He decides to, hey, maybe instead of going back to my crew, that he will go down to the gym and maybe see if he can, work out some frustrations here. And he gets to the gym, and he's doing a little bit on, I assume they have resistance machines, some kind of weight machines that we have. And this is just going to have to represent the gym, not to scale. You can assume that they, he walked quite a bit of a distance here. And working out there on one of the mats is a lady who has been, who he knows, a lady officer who he doesn't know well, but she works there, and she is Lena Dane, the head of the security there, and she's working out on on the whatever the mats are, maybe doing some tumbling, and she sees him working there. And I don't think there's going to be not a lot of people here. It's kind of the dinner hour, so everybody is probably eating or relaxing after their shift. And she says, "You there, Mr. Ranger," she says, I could use a sparring partner here. And she's kind of doing maybe like a mixed martial arts sort of thing. It's not specifically boxing or wrestling or anything. And he says, well, perhaps, she says, yeah, you'll be a fine partner. She said, I'll go easy on you. And he's not sure because she is head of security here. He says, well, okay. He said, just give me a minute. So he goes into whatever the changing room is and changes into something more appropriate for, for the martial arts. And he comes out, and they are on the mat. And even some other people who are in the area, I think, are going to gather around here. And, they're going to watch. Let's get a few more crewmen here. I got a few more crewmen, right? We can set a few little guys out. These are little peoples. I love these guys. Rick's not sure because now he's got an audience, and he's not sure how this is going to go. So the way it's going to go is, since she's head of security and she's been here a while, usually 14 is a good starting skill. So I'm going to say she's had a little more experience than that. Her combat is 15 and Rick's is 12. And the nice thing is we're going to be able to just roll both of them at once. So red is going to be Rick, yellow is going to be her. Now, I have to see who is... Actually, I guess we don't really need an initiative here. Well, we'll roll an initiative, and let's see. 1, 2, 3 is Rick. 4, 5, 6 is her. So she is going to get the first hit here, and we'll just do his return next time. So they are doing this martial arts thing. Now, it's not an opposed roll. Let me just say that. It is not an opposed roll. It's... they can both hit and both succeed. I'm just rolling them at the same time. I think one thing you're going to find about cinematic space is things move fast. Now, maybe you like that, maybe you don't. Some people, they want to do adding modifiers and stuff like that. I don't do a whole lot of that. Here we're just doing a roll under. And look at that. Rick hits, but she does not. So he must somehow have gotten a surprise on her. And he hits her for 11. So I have to like... Now, they are not fighting. This is not a to-the-death situation by any means. And I better write down Rick's hit points here. Oh, 24. He's not too bad. Your hit points are twice your fitness, and they may seem a little high for a starting character, but it's because of the way the damage works. So they spar and they move around, and he gets a tumble and a blow on her. And like I said, none of this is lethal. They'll recover all this at the end. So let's see how this round goes. Oh, they both hit. She's not doing too well for being the head of security here. She's having a bad... The dice are not behaving for her. So he hits her for another 8. And she only gets him for 1 point of damage. In fact, maybe even some of the crewmen are kind of, they're whispering, maybe they're making a little wager or two here. Food credits or entertainment credits or something. Let's see. Okay, she hits him for 7, but he misses. So let's see. That takes him down to 16. She's at 9. So whoever goes to 0 first has had the wind knocked out of them. 11 and 6, they both hit. So he's down to 10. Ooh, that is enough. He has taken her down to the mat here. Of course, he gives a hand and helps her up. And she says, oh, very, very well done. Very, very nicely done. He says, well, I've had a little bit of experience, out in the field. I have to kind of look out for myself. He said, but, you gave me a run for my money and you got a few good blows in there. And he's kind of breathing and they're both a bit out of breath from the exertion here. And there's some applause. And then the crewmen, they kind of, go their own way and mill about. And some of them maybe go back to their machines. Maybe some of them head out. And he says, and again, kind of spontaneously, but doesn't. He says, "Well, do you want to get a juice or something, or are you headed to dinner?" And before she can answer, the ship, there's a jolt, and I mean everybody feels this throughout the ship, and there's a general call, all experienced hands to the deck. So. This call and whatever the code is, code 13, let's say, is code that Rick knows that he is going to be called to the deck. And these are Starfinder. That's the word I'm looking for. Starfinder tiles. You don't need any of this. I hope you give solo role-playing a try. I really do. You don't need any of this. You can draw something on a piece of paper. You can do theater of the mind. I just have some of this stuff, and a lot of it I've picked up slowly, because things are expensive. I don't want to spend more than I need to. And some of it I've just, printed out here. And like, this is going to be my bridge tile for today. So Rick gets up to the bridge here, hops in the pilot seat. Tiana will be taking the comm here, the science area. Commander Frakes is up there too. He's second in command here. I don't know if Neela would need to be up there. Or Lena, excuse me. Lena would need to be up there, or RMD. I don't think we'll need them right now because it's not that kind of situation. So there's our bridge. Let me move that over here where they're going to be operating. And here is the ship. And the captain says, we've been thrown out of hyperspace. Some kind of gravity navigational hazard. Now, let me say a little aside here for folks. What I did was I rolled randomly. I used Solo Spelunking, Karsten Rossner's Streamline Outlaws in the Outer Fringe, which you've seen me use in previous videos. And that gave me the navigational hazard. And then I used another book that I had. I was just flipping through it, and it gave me another idea that I worked with. I rolled on it. So you can roll as you play, and you can pause and then say, okay, well, I'm going to think about this if you want to do something more random. You don't have to do it I don't want to do it in real time because I'm filming and I'm not as good at that as, making stuff up in real time. I don't want you to have, your time is valuable too. I don't want to pause and make you wait. Some people do, and that's fine. It's just a different style of role-playing video. So they've been thrown out and they know there's some kind of problem here. And Captain Bigsby says, it's going to be some rough flying here. So what we're going to do is for the first round, Tiana's going to man the science and see what's going on. See if she can give some help to Rick Ranger, our pilot here. So her science is a 14. That's her best skill. So she needs a 14 or under 4. Okay, so that's good. So I'm going to say she's doing an assist. That will give Rick advantage on his first thing here. And he is going to need, he has 5 rounds to get his successes here. Now, because this is a non-combat, an 11 or better, he gets a exceptional success. That counts as 2. For the way I'm doing this here. Because I'm doing like just some quicker hurdle points. Okay, so they both roll under, but not exceptionally. So he gets 1 success there. I guess I could have assigned hurdle points, but I didn't. Now, we can't be doing the assisting every round. I think that's a little bit too much, a little bit too crazy. So let's have him roll again. So he, the ship is kind of getting around this gravitational. He's reminded of the gravitational waves when there was that rogue black hole, which was, I think, 2 sessions ago. Does he make his next one? Yes, good. All right. So doing real well. We've got 3 more, and let's see what his successes look like. Great. We only need 2 more, so let's just roll them and see what happens. Oh, we got 5 successes. That's excellent. No failures at all. So his piloting is, his helm is a 14. So that gives him a 70% chance. So there was some chance of him failing. So I'm going to say that gets them so clean that he is able to very clearly and very safely fly and see what's causing this. And up ahead, and I don't have any like big cloud-like thing. There's like this space energy cloud. And that seems to be where the graphitic anomalies are coming from. So Bigsby says, Mr. Angel Star, please give it a scan. So Tiana is Tiana Angel Star 7, so not an exceptional success. But she says she is detecting something inside the cloud. Something metallic is inside there. And I'm just going to use this Lego piece that I just going to have to find something to represent that. And Frakes is on the board here. He says, well, if need be, we'll destroy it. And Captain Bigsby said, well, let's just make sure there's no life signs on there first. So Tiana's giving another science roll. No, it does not seem to be occupied. It seems to be something more automatic. So Captain Bigsby says, well, bring the ship in. We're going to have to try to destroy that. He says, and that energy cloud, what is that? You know, could it possibly be alive or something like that? Let's save that for now, because as soon as they move in, they see, as soon as they get too close, Tiana, and I'm not making her do a roll for this, gets on her scans that something has come to life here, that there may be energy weapons aboard this thing, whatever it is. And let's see how this goes. So, Starship Combat is more player-facing here. It's not so much, because I'm trying to sort of simulate, think about Star Trek, where usually it was just, well, what's going on the Enterprise bridge? And then they'd hold the tables and the camera would shake, and that was great. And even if you think about, there was a little bit more with the other ships, obviously, because of the special effects in Star Wars, but a lot of times it was just Han and Chewie on the Millennium Falcon and everybody in the cockpit, and that was where the center of the drama was. So we're going to first do a pilot roll to see if Rick can do the evasive maneuvers and not get hit. 20, no, they are going to get hit, and the damage is 2d6 for phasers. In that way, it's a little bit different than the combat for normal. Oh, that's a solid hit, 7. Now, the Nighthawk, I said, had 30 hit points. So that's down to 20. 23, excuse me. Okay, so Phaeriss is going to say, well, let's see what I can do here. I'll make him the blue dice. And then Tiana's going to do a scan here afterwards. Let's see how Phaeriss did. 12, and what's his combat? I do have a full card for him because I kind of promoted him to a major character. His combat is a 14, so that's fine. So he does 7 points of damage. He gets a hit on that vessel there. And you might say, well, where are shields and all that? Well, I don't want to be quite so fiddly with this. So Tiana makes her science roll, and she says, oh, that we've damaged it, but scanning our systems, we're kind of damaged as well. Okay, so next round of combat as the ship tries to come in and destroy whatever this thing is at the center of the cloud. And this is great because I can roll them all at once and interpret. So the 4 means there was an evasion. So that's good because that's well under the combat or the helm number. And let's see, on the combat side is a 12 below the 14. So 7 more points of damage on the thing there. And Tiana is able to scan this and say, oh, we've done a good hit and we're still holding. We should be fine. Okay, next combat round, and you can see how fast it goes. I'm not bragging on anything. Maybe you don't like it that fast. Maybe you'd like a little bit more granularity to your game. That's absolutely fine. There's certainly enough games out there for that. But I find when you're playing solo, you got enough to keep track of. You really have enough to keep track of. All right, so let's see how we do. So, and I use the rainbow. So red, yellow, blue is how I interpret it. Now blue is Phaeriss. So yes, we're going to have an evasion. Phaeriss is going to hit for 5 more points of damage there. Yeah, and they're not taking any damage. They're in pretty good shape. Or they took that first shot. This thing must be automated. And that's definitely good for Tiana's scan roll. She said, we've almost downed it. And Bigsby's going to say, well, don't destroy it. Just aim for the power core because you might take it out on this next shot. We want to see what's over there. All right, so let's see how we did. Let's check the red. All right, good. No hit. 12 is good for a hit. Did I move the yellow dice? I don't know if I moved the yellow dice. If I did, that's all right. So that is enough to disable this thing. Totally enough to disable this thing. So this is now floating listlessly in space, and the Nighthawk took a little bit of damage. Hopefully we can deal with that between sessions, getting it repaired here. So as this is deactivated, the energy cloud starts to undulate and move about. And Captain Bigsby, he says to me, he says, Tiana, what do you make of that? And Tiana says, well, just give me a second here. So she's going to try a science scan and nothing. She said, I'm not getting anything on my board. And Bigsby says, well, do you think it's dangerous at all? She said, well, there's something else I can try. She is going to try her psionics, which is a 14 or less. And I'm just doing a straight ahead roll because I don't think she's necessarily being actively opposed. 11. Okay, that's good. So it's under her psionics, and an 11 or better is an exceptional success for non-combat. In combat, that doesn't work. We don't do it that way because in combat, you're going to be getting a higher number anyway for your damage. She says, Captain, she puts her hands up to her temples. I think the cloud itself is alive. I'm making contact with it. And from the cloud, she is able to communicate. And she says, I'm getting feelings and images. And the captain says, well, can you get a clear image of who brought that spacecraft there to it? I don't think that this would be something natural. And what did she roll? I'm having trouble seeing it here too. Yeah, so it's not an exceptional success. She gets images that there was a larger spacecraft, and this cloud was out doing its, cloud-like things, collecting photons and just having a good time in space there, consuming photons. And a ship brought and put that thing there and brought it to this part of space where it would disrupt some of the major hyperlanes. Now, let's see if she's not able to get, I'll just say she's not able to get a clear picture of exactly what that ship was and who is in charge of this. So I think that the cloud is going to leave. Let's see if she can send it a kind of a peaceful thing like, oops, go ahead and go about your business. So the cloud itself leaves, leaving only the spacecraft there. And the captain's going to say, I think we need to send a team over there. So they're going to go over in a shuttle. I don't have it handy. I'm not sure if there's teleportation in this this setup, because like I said, it's not really Star Trek. I'm playing my own thing. So he's going to say, Mr. Angel Star, I think we're going to keep you here on the science board. He said, but I do want, Mr. Ranger, Mr. Frakes, Mr. Dane, and RMD said, I think, we're going to need you to go over there. So this has been severely damaged, and I'm going to assume there's a way to get into the spacecraft. And they will probably take a shuttle over there. We'll have to have the Alpha Dawn represent the shuttle here for right now. And let's take them inside here. And they have rebreathers, atmospheric rebreathers. And again, I think Lena would be along with them as security because this is a more highly dangerous situation. And RMD is coming. He's the medical doctor, but he is also quite accomplished with engineering. He has that programming as well. So the three of them are going to take the lead here with RMD bringing up the rear. They go in and they have their rebreathers on. And as they start to make their way to what they hope is some kind of command center here or major control panel, because they want to take a look at that, stepping out is a very large, and this one's probably too large, but he's handy. I think he's from Obi-Wan. I know I got him at Ollie's, like super dirt cheap a year or two ago. And he steps out, like I said, a little too big for the setup here. And he is just bristling with weaponry, and you can see that it can fire maybe even more than one at a time here. Is he going to fall over if I put his weapons out? Something like this. Says nothing, but immediately, his weapons are lit up there, and everybody kind of tries to take what cover they can. Frank says, take cover. We've got to take that thing out first. Now, they did put the power down on the whole system, so they probably have torches, electronic torches out here, but he must be independently powered. So 1, 2, or 3, the heroes go first. 6, he goes first. And he gets multiple shots. And again, I'm using my rainbow dice here to help me decide who gets hit and who doesn't. And I'm just going across the board the way I have their information here, or down on my thing. So let's see. So red means that Brick Ranger gets hit for 2 points of damage. And then let's see. Yellow would be next. 9. Lena gets hit for 9. Takes her down to 19. Okay, then what's next? Green is Frakes. Ooh, Frakes gets hit too as well. And RMD does not get hit, thankfully. The robot has a 14. He's pretty good at combat. So Frakes says, see if you can do anything to help us out here, RMD. So I'm going to just roll for everybody and then interpret here. So 10. Okay. That's Rick's hit. That is a solid hit there. Okay. 18 is a miss from Lena. 8 is a hit for Frakes on the robot. Now, RMD, I'm going to say, let's see, for his main goal, and there's stuff flying around here. So I'm going to say that 4, just that gets him in. That gets him close enough here. I don't know if you can see him here on the picture. We'll put him on the other side maybe, where he is going to try perhaps to see if he can, use some frequencies to disrupt this thing. I don't know. All right, let's try the robot. So the lasers are flying everywhere here. And let's see what happens. 17 is a miss. 15, 16 are misses. 7 is a hit on RMD. So RMD, as he was trying to get close, got whacked a little bit. And they are going to fire now at him. And let's see who hits. 10, 11, or wait, 13, 11. The 15 misses. But that's good enough that they are able to take that Guardian robot down. RMD doesn't even have to do much. So everybody did take some hits. And Frank says, we'll have to heal up when we get back to the ship. He said, but I think what's really important now is, to see if we can detect the technology that caused all this. And that seems to be RMD's job there. Trying to see if anybody else has any significant engineering help here. Not really. RMD's the only one, because you need a 12 or better to assist. You have to have some reasonable skill. So RMD is going to try and detect and see whether he can tell if this was technology by the Graylians or not. 4, so that's a good roll. And then on a 1, 2, 3, it was the Graylians. 4, 5, 6, it's another faction in the region. And what did I get here? So 5. So he says, no, this was not the Graylians. He says, I'm not totally familiar with this technology. He said, but I'll take some back to the ship. We could, he's going to rip out some circuits and rip out some things, and they are going to see what they can do. He says, would we take the thing in tow? And Frank says, no, probably not. He said, I don't know if we would want to tow all this. He said, we have to see who's causing this trouble out here. That was trying to definitely disrupt the Planetary Alliance ships, patrol ships that were in the area, like the Nighthawk. And Rick is glad that, he feels like, okay, we had a successful mission here. This is his first real mission as a member of the Nighthawk's crew. And I think we're going to leave it there for now. So again, the system is Cinematic Space. All that's linked below. Most importantly, I hope you had a good time, and I hope it inspires you in your own solo role playing, and we'll see you next time.